Hi, and welcome to Relate and Illuminate. I'm so excited to have a special guest tonight. It's John Valeri, my good friend and musician extraordinaire.
Oh,
You won't believe this guy. He is multi-talented, has played all over the world, and just we're lucky that I can interview him right here in Sanford, Florida.
it's a special place for me, Sanford. I might move someday here.
You're already here. You're in
yes,
Orlando.
every week, yeah. You're right.
Well, it's mostly going to be about John tonight, so I'm going to take a different seat and get him squared away, and then we'll start this interview. All right, hang on. So, John, how did you wind up in Orlando, Florida?
It's really funny. Most of the things that happen in my life are consequence of something. You know, I stopped planning for a long time. I was recording an album for a label in England, and the producer lived in Orlando. And I lived in New York at the time, and he would fly me usually for a recording session monthly. And I think New York was something that I had to move on somewhere. I didn't know where after living so many years in New York. And I think Florida and coming to Orlando gave me that space and that new horizon to follow musically and with my personal life. I knew that it's going to take me somewhere, and has been a great influence on my Latin aspect of my music, and somehow I love South. If I go anywhere, I'll go further south now.
Well, tell me about your life in New York.
Everybody that I knew and I used to be influenced by, they lived in New York or they performed, and I had the chance to see them live and be very close to something that I never thought would have impacted me, not only as a musician but as a human being. So New York was the place for me. You know, I knew that's where I'm going to learn things that I couldn't learn somewhere else.
And you actually worked with some of your heroes, right?
I had a great 10 years of just a pure luck, right time, right place that got me to performing Woodstock Rock Festival 1999. I was assigned to an emerging artist, and I faced on Saturday. It was a 3-day festival. Incredible energy and crowd of 200,000 people. And that was just because I lived in New York and I was with the right circle of musicians that usually they'll recommend me to somebody else, and from word of mouth I'll end up playing at the Apollo too.
Wow.
Just because I was supporting another artist that performed at the Apollo for a tribute of African American women. Then he had an offer to do a BET, Black Entertainment Network, and we went to Washington, D.C. So all these events were very not planned, you know. I was just downtown New York, talking to the right people, playing the right clubs. The first club that I started playing was in Greenwich Village on Bleecker Street, the Bitter End. That was a very funky club with a great history, and I met a lot of great musicians that performed later with Sting, Ray Charles, Michael Brecker.
Oh, wow.
One of the bass players that I used to work, he was auditioning for Rolling Stones at the time. That was early 90s. So that was a circle of musicians that go somewhere. And you're among all of these people. And a drummer that I play with, he got offered with Steely Dan. And And we used to play every Saturday or Sunday at the bitter end. But my goal was always to go to the west side of New York and play in a jazz club. It took me a long time because I was not ready yet. So almost 6-7 years I worked my way to get my first gig at Sweet Basil. That was on 7th Avenue South. Pure accident. The headlines of the night had a trouble to show up and perform, and the manager knew that I'm a great interest of jazz and I'm a musician. He said, "Can you put a band quickly for me for that Saturday?" I was scared, you know. I just said, you know, "Are you serious? You know, you want me to play Saturday?" Basically, I put a quartet. We played. I didn't know how it's gonna go. On the end of the night, he said, "I want you to do this next Saturday too." And I ended up playing every Saturday, opening for great acts, like one of the best jazz musicians I saw there. It was the club that closes, the latest club that will close at night in New York, 3:30, and when everybody finished their performances everywhere around, they'll pass by Sweet Basil.
Okay.
And I'll see Pat Metheny there too.
Wow.
I have to pull out my notes, but great musicians.
Of course.
Great musicians, and that was education. That was the best education for me that I couldn't get anywhere else.
No.
Just watching these people coming and performing, and I'll approach particular one guy. He used to come every month, Freddie Cole Quartet. That was the brother of Nat King Cole.
I know that person.
And
I saw him.
And the guitar player was just incredible. Had an incredible sound. Sounded exactly like the people that I used to learn from: Wes Montgomery, George Benson, all these guys. And he was a friend, the same generation with George Benson and Wes, older jazz musician, and I took lessons with him.
Oh, wow.
And many times I'll just be curious about particular thing, and I'll approach the right guy, and they'll tell me one-on-one how I can do it better.
Yeah.
And that was New York for me.
Now you studied it
all
young.
my life.
When did you start?
I started already 40 years. I was studying, playing
So what
rock
age were
music,
you?
going to Spain, study flamenco. In New York, I studied Brazilian music as well with some great Brazilian musicians.
Of course, but
And
you
that continued
started
in Orlando.
guitar at a very young age.
7 years old. I was 7 years old when I
wow.
picked up the guitar, and I knew this is it. I went to a conservatory in Sofia, Bulgaria, and I studied classical guitar. And that was my background. And once, when I was 14, I heard bossa nova and all that on the radio, and I said, "Wow, where I can learn that."
I like that.
And I knew that I had to leave that part of the world and come to the right place.
Yeah.
That's the only way you can be having an influence of something to the fullest, when you play with the people that came from that part of the world.
Created that. Yeah.
So I was mixed with Latin musicians, jazz in New York, and my love to music all around, stylistically, was endless. I couldn't get enough of every style, you know. And till today, when I play, it will be a mixture of everything I heard since a young age.
Wow. Let's talk about your creative process. So you're such a beautiful player. I want you to play for us tonight.
Sure.
But tell me, like, I know you just wrote a song about Sanford. So I'd love for you to tell me about how that came to you, what inspired you about that, and then play some of it for me.
I used to do a gig every week in Sanford, and then I had a student that I'll be coming on a weekly basis. And every time I leave Orlando and drive towards Sanford, weather will change. And I'll start and I'll face some incredible clouds and rain that I never seen in my life before. And just in a half an hour or a few minutes, will be clear and the sun will be like to the fullest. And I'll be like, wow, the nature, man, how can I put that into the music? You know, and that was building up every time I drive. I'll have a sound like and it started building up some kind of a song, and I felt the groove, and I said, let me work on that, and I call this Sanford Rain. And I can just put a little groove, if you don't mind.
Yeah, do.
Just to refer to
the beat.
The beat, yeah. That's what I was hearing inside. In my
Okay, let's
head.
hear it.
That'll be the rain part.
Right there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I get there, that will be clearing up now. Yeah. I mean, that was the idea. I have to record it properly, and but that I wrote it down, and someday I'll.
So it just comes to you. It's the
Yes.
and visually is your inspiration. The visual.
The visual impact, what I was seeing in my head, got me to the music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that leads me to your career as a film score person. Tell me about that.
Again, big luck. I was in Europe, being a rock musician, 24 years old. A producer and director of making his first movie approached me, and he said, John, I want you to write a music for my first film. And he took me to the scene, and I saw the shooting and everything. And I said, okay, Michael, I'm gonna go home and see. I'll make a demo for you if you like it. So basically, everything that I saw visually again got printed in my head. And I was thinking, what music could represent what I saw on at the stage for the film, and I gave him the demo, and he said, "Wow, can you do that professionally in a recording studio?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." So I did it for him, and I left Bulgaria and I went to live in Scandinavia, Sweden, and for 5 years. He called me and said, "John, you won the best soundtrack for film in Venice for that soundtrack that you did."
And what was the award?
Ozella. It's the same every I don't know how many period of time or every year they represent for music director, producer, main role. And the same year when Goodfellas, when Martin Scorsese won for Goodfellas as a director, I won for music.
You're in good company.
Still can't believe it. It's a lot of responsibility because I had an offer for another film, German production. Later on, I was still in Europe. Pandora film. They asked me to do a second film, and I was heavy because I knew that I have to do better than what I did. And they said, "No, we want you to do exactly the same thing you did with the first film." And I was like, "Wow!" So it was funny. I recorded that second film at ABBA studio in Stockholm, and I have a signature style when I go in the studio. Usually, to see what I see musically, I ask them to turn off the lights in the studio, and they said, "Wow, nobody ever asked us to do that." And I did it with the first film, and I did it with the second one. I said, "Please, could you turn off no lights?" And then I see what I see.
Oh, wow.
And that was just something that I knew that I have in me by seeing a story or a portrait or a picture. It brings music,
Thank you so much for being with me and being my guest. It was such a treat to talk to you about your creative process, and then the second part about what it's like to be a musician full time. And I admire you, John.
Oh,
I really, really do.
My pleasure.
And I just want to tell you to look for him on johnvaleri.com. He also plays around town. He, is amazing. Should I mention downtown Sanford?
Please.
Yeah, on Wednesday nights. It's such a treat. Here in Sanford, Florida, of all places, we get to see a world-class musician at the Basin, which is part of Henry's Depot. And you'll see me there. And sometimes he drags me on stage. But I only sound little bit good because of him. So anyway, thanks for joining, and thank you, honey.
Oh, my pleasure. It's so good to know you and being here. I appreciate it very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, darling. And look for this on social media and YouTube, and John too on YouTube, and we'll see you next time.